You are being recorded. Santos is coming in right now,
Great, thank you.
and Missy.
Excellent. Okay, good evening. I'm calling this regular meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Monday, November 23rd, 2020 at 7:00 p.m. Meeting via Zoom. We will begin with a roll call. Mr. Lenke.
John B. Lenke, present.
Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, present.
Mr. Poplawski.
Dave Poplawski, present.
Mr. Rice. John, you're muted, John.
John's on mute.
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Santos.
Bryce Santos, present.
Ms. Langlois.
Charlene Langlois present.
Ms. DeRogers.
Missy DeRogers present.
Mr. Blackmer.
Randy Blackmer, present.
Joseph Brody Brown, present. We will seat Mr. Hill for Ms. Chattel, Mr. Poplawski for Mr. Nelson, and Mr. Santos for Mr. Werge. Item 2, public hearing.
This
Is
Christine Chattel is coming in right now, Joe.
okay. Who did I literally just seat for her?
Alvin.
Alvin. Okay. So we'll seat Alvin for Mike until Mike shows up, I guess.
he'll be here shortly. He just texted me.
Okay. At 7:02, Commissioner Chattel was present. Good evening, Ms. Chattel.
Good evening.
Item number 2, public hearing. There is none. Item number 3, discuss public hearing. Possible action. There is none. Item 4, approve minutes of the October 26, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lenke.
I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes of October, the date 26th. Yeah, with a couple amendments to it.
Okay.
One of the amendments you have already seen on this one here, October 26th, where it had to do with the amendment of Randy moved, Christopher Nelson second, the motion for the acquisition of this property donated Mr. Rawson, and was a yes and no, and it had us down, Joseph Brody Brown is no, and John B. Lenke is no, and it should have been yes. And I also have 2 more. You go to page 6. It has to do with section C. And on page 6, where it is, it has the same on the all the members that were voting. It has the same thing as Joseph Brody Brown, no. John B. Lenke, no, which we both voted yes to, and that was to the property again. And then on page 7, section E, the calendar year schedule, it has us both down as no. Joseph Brody Brown, no, and John B. Lenke. That was the motion that was made by John Rice and seconded by John B. Lenke to accept the meeting schedule for 2021. Those are the 3 discrepancies that I kind of found.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that the one that's noted on our agenda
Yep.
is the one on page 6.
Okay, I'm sorry, but we got one
On page 7 as well.
as well, yes. If you were to look at the list of the names in order, consecutive order, it mirrors up the other one.
Right, yeah. So Mr. Lenke has moved to accept the minutes with 2 amendments regarding the vote on the acquisition of Aquatic Town Farm Road, parcels 1 and 2, and on the approval of the 2021 schedule of meetings. Sorry, John, you're muted.
Am I muted?
No, John Rice, sorry.
Oh.
Bottom here. How about the one, Joe, on page 3? That application 2023. There's 2
Yes.
votes.
Yeah, so I think what happened is and Mr. Lenke can also answer on this. I believe that is correct, and I believe that vote
Okay.
got copied to the subsequent ones.
The other 2, okay, all right. Just verifying that's the way you voted. All right, thank you.
The only one I remember saying no to was the one that Mr. Perotti and I said no to. All the rest were pretty much yes.
Yeah, that's the application 20-23. So the motion has been made to accept with those 2 amendments. Is there
Amendments or corrections?
tomato, I suppose. Corrections.
I know what an amendment is, that's all. All right,
Uh,
like tomato.
Is there a second for Mr. Lenke's motion with corrections?
I'll second a motion. John Rice.
Okay, Mr. Lenke has moved, Mr. Rice seconded to accept the meeting minutes of October 26, 2020 with corrections. Any further discussion on the motion?
That was a mouthful.
Hearing none, it will be a yes to approve with corrections, no to not approve. Mr. Lenke,
John B. Linky, yes.
Mr. Hill,
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Paplowski, yes.
Mr. Rice,
John Rice, yes.
Mr. Santos,
Brian Santos, yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Ms. DeRogers,
I'm going to refrain because I was not at the meeting.
Ms. Chattel,
Christine Chattel? Yes.
Mr. Blackmer,
He's muted, Joe.
yeah, Randy, you're on mute if we've still got you.
Let me see if I can unmute him from here since I think he's in the car.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay, thanks. Mr. Blackmer, yes. And Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Okay. So the minutes are approved with correction. Item 5, applications, none. Item 6, applications received after the agenda posted,
None.
none. Thank you. Item 7, citizens' comments. So if there are any citizens who would like to make a comment at this time, you can unmute yourself to be recognized, or if you're able to indicate in the chat.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, I opened that. Mr. Chairman, Mike Krogel, I am
Mr.
present.
Thank you. Mr. Krogel is present at 7:09 p.m., which means Mr. Hill is no longer seated as a voting member.
Oh, damn.
Sorry, Alvin.
Okay, I am hearing no speakers for citizens' comments at this time.
Joe, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Rice.
No, go ahead. I just want to, I don't know if Alvin, the comment that he did, I'm not the citizen, but if he meant by being replaced that he couldn't attend the meeting and still voice his opinion, he just can't vote. Hopefully he's aware of that. It almost sounded like he was going to leave the meeting.
Okay, no, thank you for that clarification, Mr.
Yeah.
Rice.
Well, water.
Okay, item 8, reports of officers and staff. Director of Planning and Development report, discussion of the POCD.
Yep, closing in on it, guys. We've got 2 more topic meetings, one tomorrow night and one next Monday. The last 2 topics are ones that I would very much like members of P&Z to attend and comment on. Tomorrow night's session is on renewable energy and energy conservation, starting at 7 o'clock. And then next Monday, future land use. And that would be specifically also a discussion of our plans for the subdivision regulations, among other things. So if you have not received the link from me and you would like to attend, well, I'll just send the link for tomorrow out regardless, and people can dial in. And if anybody has any comments or notes they want to give on the draft to date, since the last time it was sent out, I would be happy to jot those down as we go. So if anybody's got anything for me, pipe up.
Here, I'll join tomorrow night. So just if you can send me the link again, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah, you were definitely on the group that I sent the link to, but I will send it to you again regardless.
Okay. I'll look for it now. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Tira. I won't be able to make tomorrow nights, but I do plan on being at next Mondays, and I think you know, I think that would be a really important one. If people are able to make it, that would be really helpful. It's as Tira said several times, you know, the whole document is technically out of this commission, but I think a section on future land use would really benefit from the input of the members of this commission. So if you're able to come either tomorrow night or next Monday night, that would be really valuable, I think. Certainly, I don't want to cut off if anyone was planning on sharing some thoughts with Tira on the draft to date.
I found it, Tira, so you're all set. Send it to me. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Brad.
And then, of course, this will the document as a whole will come to this commission at our next meeting in December for
Yeah, which I have been mistakenly saying is the 21st, but I forgot that it was pushed out to the 28th. So just a little clarification, this document must be approved at that meeting. So if anybody has any concerns that they want to bring about that document, they've got to come before that meeting. I have a 3-day turnaround until we've promised the state that it will be adopted. So that's what we need to do.
So yeah, so do keep checking those drafts as they come out from Tira. And if you've got any questions, concerns, ideas, send them her way. And great. So it doesn't sound like anyone's got anything to.
I don't know. I'd seen Randy's name come up, Joe. I don't know if he was trying to say something or.
It may just be some background noise, but I'm not. Mr. Blackmer, did you have a comment you wanted to make about the POCD?
No, I don't have anything to add at this point. I'm going to have to drop out for now. It's very hard for me to hear while I'm driving. I'll call in as soon as I get home.
Okay, thank you. Be safe, Randy.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so at 7:14, Mr.
Joe.
Blackmer is exiting the meeting. We will seat Mr. Hill as a voting member for Mr. Blackmer, which may be a record, being seated for 3 separate members in one meeting. So congratulations, Mr. Hill. Mr. Rice.
So are we gonna get a complete package of that POCD prior to that meeting? Because really, that's not a drop dead date that we have to have that. I mean, it's nice to have it. Okay.
No, it is a drop dead date, John. It is a drop dead date.
No, I'd question that, because why is it that years ago that we never even filed it on a timely basis and nothing ever happened? It just, I'd like to,
So the reason that it is a hard drop dead date is because we are a year out of date, which was an error. When I came on, I was told that that document was due this year and operated accordingly. That
So who-
our current document expired at the end of the year last year, and we are currently in a situation where anytime we are seeking discretionary funding from the state, we essentially have to ask permission to get a waiver to apply for those funds because we are out of date. So there is no wiggle room. But to answer your first question, John, as soon as I have the first complete draft, which I will have on the 1st of December, I will send that to the entire commission for their continued review.
okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Tira. If there's nothing else on the POCD at this time, I will move on to section 8B, the ZEO memo.
I think the only thing in the memo that we're not going to be discussing in the meeting is the situation at 141 Old Turnpike Road. This gentleman keeps going back and forth as to if you read the memo as to what my latest decision was to him with his supposedly plans, which today I found out they fell through. So those plans are gone of removing the garages. Now he
I'm
wants,
sorry, Cindy, this was application 20-24.
right, which he withdrew.
Right, thank you.
He withdrew it. And now he wants to use the garage as a smoke shop. And he brought me a picture today that showed 4 parking places that are right up against 141 Quinnebog, Old Turnpike Road. And I said to him, there's no place to back out. You know, that is, so what I told him today is, because I didn't have any extra time, is that tomorrow I will look at the regulations, see what they say, and make my decision. But I don't, considering the remarks from last week concerning that area and what used to be there, because he keeps telling me there was a laundromat there and there was always cars there.
Oh,
I just think it's too dangerous to have any cars going into that place, going in and out of that place.
there never was a laundromat there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Cindy, and I know you'll continue to keep us updated as you have on that. Aside from, so we, as Cindy said, the other items in her memo will be coming up later in the agenda. Is there anything else anyone wanted to ask of Cindy?
There was a store.
Okay. Thanks very much, Cindy, and I know you'll weigh in on some of these other items as well. Item 8C, Town of Thompson Budget Report, October 2020. Mr. Rice.
Well, just looking good, although I want to point out, is if everybody got a copy of that printing and publications, if we're going to do any legal notices, if at all possible, see if we can stay away from that Norwich Bulletin. If you'll notice, that legal notice that we had was $334 versus $80 for the local paper. So Cindy, just I think we have to be very careful where we're posting that. I'm trying to think of why we use the Norwich Bulletin, that legal notice, but other than that, with money is okay.
Thank you, John. Item 9, correspondence. 9A, minutes of the Zoning Board of Appeals, November 9th, 2020. 9B, State of Connecticut DOT application, rehabilitation of bridge number 06793, I-395 over Little Mountain Brook. And this is one of the topics that came up in Cindy's memo. Are there any
Any questions on that? Okay.
I think, if I may, Mr. Chairman, isn't
Mr.
that
Rice?
pretty much in the realm of wetlands?
Yes, it
I would
is.
think- I think Marla's handling that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. And that's why I made that statement, that it was in her hands.
Okay.
So yeah, Deep sent it to us and Cindy said, well, that goes actually somewhere else. So
Okay.
thanks very much for that information, Cindy. Item 9C, Town of Douglas Planning Board, notice of public hearing. Item 10, signing of Mylar, and we did have the discussion about the Ken Weiss
Yes,
Mylar.
that was a mistake from the transportation department. They thought that it signed Mylar, but because it's not a subdivision, it doesn't need to be signed. Because I talked to Ken and because I talked to Archer first, the design, the engineer, and he said he didn't think it had to be signed. And so I talked to Ken. He said that he just forgot to tell me that it was a mistake. So.
And I was practicing my penmanship and everything.
Sorry, Joe.
Item 11.
Excuse
old
me.
bus-
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Joe, Cindy, who's that Ken you mentioned?
Ken Weiss, he owns the property.
Okay. So, I don't know, I'm just interested as to how the commission feels about any Mylar that's being filed in a town clerk regarding planning and zoning, that the chairman should sign it. That's my opinion. I don't know if anybody else has got any concerns with that, but.
I assume that there is either statute or regulation or something that covers what should be signed or not, no?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking. I'm just talking my personal feelings. I think it should be almost like it's being notarized, by the commission and you signing it.
Okay, I can look that up on the
Okay.
statutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Mr. Rice. Item 11, old business. 11A, Brickyard Road bonding and reclamation. Cindy mentioned, unless there's anything since your memo,
No.
Cindy.
No, there isn't. I was going to try to get out this Saturday, but time didn't afford it. So, I can call him and see about this Saturday, but it has to be done soon before it gets cold and snows. So hopefully I'll have a final report next month.
Great. We will see that on next month's agenda. Item 11B is the Planning and Zoning Commission application 20-24, which was withdrawn, which Cindy mentioned in her memo, and again is now changed again and ongoing, and she will continue to keep us updated. Thank you. Item 12, new business. 12A, release bond for Planning and Zoning Commission -20-15, I'm sorry, application 20-15, gravel operation at 0, formerly 363 Aquatic Town Farm Road. Everyone hopefully received the video that Cindy sent of her visit out there, and we do have pictures as well. I know Cindy received an email and then she was out there today. Is that right, Cindy?
Yes, I was. And did everybody read my email that was sent around 4:30 today?
No.
Okay. So let me find the paperwork. I apologize. Sorry. It's going to take me a minute here to find the paperwork.
Cindy, I can go ahead and actually.
I got it. It's right here.
Joe,
Yes.
should we be discussing that, seeing how we didn't get that or it's not on the agenda?
Well,
I treat it as a complaint that on the correspondence that was sent into you. I assume I read it, but.
Well, it relates to it, and I don't know if it's going to relate to your decision to approve it. I guess that would be up to the chairman to add this part to the agenda.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, so what's on the agenda is the releasing the bond. And I welcome the commission's opinions as to, whether or not this is relevant information to the release of the bond or
Well,
not.
Mr. Chairman, then what is the information that would help us decide if we want to do it tonight or postpone it? Is it critical or is it?
Not after going out there, it's not critical, no.
Yeah,
was
so
that?
a complaint was made or an observation was made, and Cindy went out there to check it out today. And I mean, you can hear from what she's just said that it, she doesn't think it's a concern.
What was the complaint about?
Okay, so here was the complaint. What, Joe, can I read the complaint?
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead and read the complaint, Cindy.
I'm writing to alert you all of the witnessed silt and water runoff coming off the gravelled property at Aquatic Town Farm Road, now forming a drainage water channel going directly into the pond at 363 Aquatic Town Farm Road. If you know, originally it was 363. While the operation was going on, they sold that house. And so now that's 363, and we refer to the gravel operation as 0 Aquatic Town Farm Road. Resulting in a browning out of this body of water connecting to the Class A water designation of the aquatic reservoir system of the town of Thompson. So because I thought that it, concerned releasing the bond, I connected with Rawson, went out there with David Held and the foreman Bill to view the property. And here was the result of the meeting. Unbeknownst to to Rawson, the silt fence was removed by the owner of 363 Aquatic Town Farm Road. This removal did not protect excessive runoff to the property, and subsequently some runoff went into the pond at 363 Aquatic Town Farm Road. An amount of runoff is expected while the soil covering in its primary phase and will decrease with more growth when it stabilizes. Reclamation of the property concerning water runoff was carefully designed by the foreman, and Mr. Held, who's here in the meeting, can further explain on this. And then we, walked across to the aquatic reservoir system, and the water was clear. And unfortunately, I did take a video of the water. And after I sent Tara the 2 videos that I wanted you to see tonight, I tried to get that video out to everybody, but they told me it was too big and they couldn't send it to you. And I just didn't have time to make it smaller, to decrease however you do that, because the town hall closed at 5 today. But the water is clear. I mean, I have it on my phone here, and the water on the other side, if you overlook all the garbage that's over there, you can see that the water is real clear.
And
So it was sent to Marla. I saw an email from Marla. She said she'll pay attention to it next week. I sent all the same information over to Marla. I don't think the water in the reservoir is an issue, and actually the owner of 363 really created this without getting anyone's permission to take the silt fence down. So if you want to go back to, the intent of this item is, Tara can show you the film dated 11/16. I just thought it was better to videotape how the property looks and the covering, and if you had any questions that either David or I could answer. And so we could start there. John, did I answer your question? Are you satisfied with what I just told you? John Linky?
Yeah.
Okay.
If the sand and gravel operation if they didn't remove the silt fence, the property owner of 363, that's on 363 for doing something he wasn't supposed to do. So why should we penalize, Rawson for it if it wasn't his fault? He didn't remove the fence, and Marla's supposed to be on top of that too, and she's doing her job.
Yeah.
How much of the fence was removed, linear footage wise? I'm just curious.
David, can you answer that question? I mean, all of it was removed, but I don't know how many feet.
Yeah, Dave Held, Provost and Rivero. Well, Cindy just answered the question for me that there is no silt fence left. He removed all of it.
Okay.
Well,
Linear footage wise, it's probably 500 feet total that was removed.
Yeah, okay.
That's a
Basically
lot.
surrounded the entire.
But I pulled it out.
Yeah, was there hay bales too, Dave? Or I can't remember what was all.
No, it was silt fence.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Rice?
But it's on a new owner's property. It has nothing to do with Rawson.
No, actually, it wasn't on the new owner's property. It was on Rawson's property, right, David?
Well,
Yeah, so, Mr. Latender, who bought the house there, he is probably going to be buying some of the adjacent land from River Junction Estates. He hasn't bought it yet. I don't know if he was just jumping the gun and taking the silt fence down where he thought he was buying, but yeah, all the silt fence was on River Junction Estates property, or Awesome Materials, however you want to look at it. It was not on his property. So yeah, he shouldn't have removed it.
Mr. Rice?
it just, my comment, if, you know, we haven't had this amount of rain. We probably had 2+ inches of rain last night and today. The ground was so dry that anything probably coming down from Spicer Road or Quatictown Farm Road, if you go up the hill, wash down into that pond. The person that's making the complaint, I don't know if they took a drive around to see how many other ponds are filled, gray at this time because of the wash off the roads into these ponds. I might suggest if that she wants to come to my house and look at my pond, and you'll see it's brown. This happens every time we have a large rainfall, but within a week or two, it's clear again, that all settles down. So
Yeah, Dave Held again. I mean, in all honesty, there is silt that came off of the restored gravel site that washed into the pond. But what effectively happened was Mr. Latender removed the silt fence, and the only potential damage that was caused was to Mr. Latender's pond, because the outfall of that pond that's basically plugged up. There is, I'm thinking there's some kind of a cross culvert under the road that's a perpetual problem because it is plugged up. You go to the other side of the road, and like Cindy said, the water's coming out clear there. So Mr. Latender made the decision to do something he probably shouldn't have done, but he's the only one who suffered any damage.
Thank you, Mr. Held. Mr. Santos?
I just want to make sure I'm clear. So Dave, did you specifically leave that silt fence there for that reason? It sounded like you removed a lot of it on your own, but I just want to know from the timing, did you leave that there?
Well, I didn't do anything. When I think you have the as-built topo survey in front of you, probably as part of your package.
Yeah.
But as I recall, when that survey was done, and I want to say that was beginning of last week, I believe the silt fence was still up at that point in time. And it's Rawson's intention that they were going to leave that silt fence up until.
Yeah, till established, right?
Yeah, until the
Till
grass was
stabilized.
completely established.
They always do that. They never take it down.
Well, it just sounded like you removed some of it at some point and you left that section there for a reason, and then the neighbor came and removed it for whatever reason.
No, David, I
believe
David-
all of it was left in place, and then they removed all of it.
Okay.
nothing's been removed from there.
Okay, very good. Okay.
And
I misunderstood that then. Thank you.
And Cindy, so in your memo, you indicated that the property is up to the standard for bond release. Has anything changed your?
No, not
Judgment.
even, not after this. I'm not at all, because like Bill said, that he really planned well for the terrain to drain up to that silt fence, not to have any deep gullies or anything in there, so. But if you see the video is much better than the pictures I sent to you. So if Tara can put up the video of 11.
Which one do you want?
11:16,
Okay.
please.
All right. I have not tried to share videos yet, so hopefully this will work.
Just out of
Oh.
curiosity, where Tira's getting that up and running, a guesstimate on how many linear feet of the silt fence was removed?
I'm going to guess that it was probably 500 feet. And as a practical matter, this problem could have been prevented probably with about 4 hay bales.
Yeah. that's
You
what
know,
I'm-
literally, 20 feet of silt fence. is
Down the
only
bottom,
area that
Tara.
was
That's
raining
what
on.
No,
I'm-
I clicked it, Cindy. It's waiting to open.
Oh.
It's going to default to window media player, but that it moves really slowly on my, here we go. Let's see if we can, do you guys have that?
Not yet.
So,
Okay, so are you getting the video from the emails I sent you today to your private email or from the town email?
No, it's from the town email and it's playing on my screen, but it sounds like you guys aren't seeing it.
No.
No.
All right, let
All I
me
see is
try
my
it again.
emails.
Let me just, and while this, was there anyone from the commission who wasn't able to see those videos?
it didn't, Mr. Chairman, it didn't come through on my
Gotcha.
on my thing. this
Wait,
early.
something's coming up.
Here it goes. Get ready.
Oh, you have to look.
Of course, it's on the dotted side.
That's okay.
Yeah, I know. I don't
Next
appear to
one.
have an ability to turn it.
I think it's the one that you just clicked on the bottom left there. I think.
No,
that-
that's like shuffling your playlist, I think.
Oh, okay. See how much I know? Perfect.
But I do think that this,
All you have to do is take your computer and turn it sideways.
Yeah, that's what I did. Of course, all I have to do is go to my phone and look at it because it's on my phone.
yeah.
Do a Charlie Chaplin move, stand sideways.
So are there
So-
any, I do appreciate that, Cindy. I do think the video, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, I think that video is worth exponentially more than that.
Exactly.
Mr. Rice,
If I may just move this along, I'd make a motion to release the bond for P and Z application 20-15 gravel operation.
I'll second.
motion has been made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Ms. Langlois to release the bond for application 20-15. Any further discussion on the motion?
Just one quick one. Dave, would you have a problem going over there and throwing a couple hay bales down to try to make this problem go away? It doesn't sound like a lot.
No, Rawson has already offered to go over and reinstall the critical section of silt fence there to keep it from happening again.
Thank you very much.
Right.
That's my only comment.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will release the bond. A no vote will hold on to the bond. Mr. Lenke,
John B. Lanky, yes.
Mr. Hill,
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Mr. Rice,
On Rice, yes.
Mr. Santos,
Ryan Santos, yes.
Ms. Langlois,
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Ms. DeRozers,
Missy DeRozier's, yes.
Ms. Chattel,
Christine Chattel, yes.
and Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. The vote is unanimous to release the bond.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Krogel, I skipped you.
hello there.
Mr. Krogel.
I vote yes also.
Thank you, Mr. Krogel. My apologies. Mr. Krogel votes yes, and the vote remains unanimous to release the bond. It's the week before Thanksgiving. It's tough to be a teacher, okay? That's my
Yeah.
only excuse. Item 12B, Zero Plum Road, Hal Merrick upgrade of Plum Road according to Town of Thompson Ordinance Number 10-041, Road Ordinance.
Okay.
Go ahead, Cindy.
So Mr. Woodis is here to speak on this, but just to review it, Mr. Merrick purchased the property with the intention to build a residential dwelling. And the area is off an unaccepted road extension of Plum Road. He will develop 600 feet to improve the road according to the Town of Thompson subdivision regulations, and I put the regulations in there as to which ones that he has to abide by, with possibility of waivers at some point. You have the authority to approve the road and eventual acceptance by the town under the road ordinance 1041. Did everybody read that ordinance, or do you need me to go back over it?
I thought it was clear. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay,
Check
so,
marks.
and, oh, something's wrong with my dog, sorry. On Thursday, we met with Mr. Merrick. I met with Mr. Merrick, Bruce, and Rich Benoit to discuss procedure for moving forward. And the Board of Selectmen on Tuesday, November 17th, took the action to approve the application for the road. Oh, to send it over, excuse me, to send it over to us. I apologize, to send it over to us. Bruce, do you want to take it from here?
Certainly. For the record, Bruce Woodis with KWP Associates, representing Hal Merrick. As Cindy said, they purchased a property towards the end of Plum Road. The road is a current town road. Cindy said it was unaccepted, but the reality is it is a town road that is not maintained. Okay, that's the distinction. And so when Hal applied for a building permit back in April, he received a letter from Cindy Dunn, Richard Benoit, and Terry Bellman saying that according to the current 2012 regulations, that in order to get a building permit, he would have, or improvements would have to be made to the town road to bring them up to town standards. And then they refer to the subdivision regulations. It should be noted that the current subdivision regulations, when you look up the requirements for improving existing town roads, refer to subdivision over and over again. So it appears that they're written primarily for the purpose of building new roads for subdivisions, where you would have your typical 50-foot wide thoroughfare right-of-way, 22-foot wide minimum paved pavement, et cetera. The current subdivision regulations really don't speak very well to improving existing town roads. And so when you take a roadway like Plum Road, which is only about 30 feet wide, sometimes as narrow as 25 feet wide, and sometimes as wide as 40 feet wide, and then you try and fit a 22-foot wide town road with grading and drainage, it just doesn't work. We have prepared plans, a plan and profile showing what we think can work, which is an 18-foot wide paved road with grading and a culvert. An 18-foot wide paved road is consistent with a lot of the back roads in town, which are pretty much, 16 to 19 feet wide of oiled gravel, basically, although the current Public Works director is working very hard to pave more roads. And so that is a good thing. Again, the April letter refers to the 2012 Thompson zoning regulations. I'm not certain how the current ones that were just approved speak to this. I read through them and I could not find the same requirement or quotation in the current regulations, but maybe I'm missing it. You folks are well versed in your new regulations, so you could probably point me pretty quickly to where it says that must be done. We've worked in some other towns where this sort of thing has come up, and typically if the town has a legal town road, the town is obligated to upgrade the road to serve the public at the request of the public, as opposed to the other way around. So my client is willing to do this work, but there's going to have to be some perhaps give and take on, you know, the town, the selectmen, public works department, and perhaps the planning and zoning commission. That's a kind of an overview. Question?
Thank you, Mr. Wittes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Hill?
Alvin, you're frozen.
no, Joe is frozen. Anyway, Mr. Waters, that
Yes, sir.
600 foot unimproved town road, is there any, does the current owner own the land on both sides of that road?
He does not. There are two other property owners, one on either side, for a portion of that before you get to his properties, down towards the end.
So do they have dry access off of that road?
Yes, they do.
So we've got three people involved, three owners involved with that 600 foot strip of land.
Technically, yes, although they are not part of the application.
I should, I don't know, I think that should go in front of the Board of Selectmen first.
Mr. Rice?
It has gone before the Board of Selectmen. The procedure that is required is that an application is submitted to the Board of Selectmen, and then what they do is they refer it to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review and comment. And then they accept the comments of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then they act on the application. That's the protocol for the ordinance.
Mr. Chairman, Mike Krogel,
Mr. Krogel?
what was Mr. Benoit's input into this situation? The Highway Department.
I can answer that and then Bruce can chime in. Rich was very, very open-minded about it, and he felt that as long as it meets the standards that he's looking for, that it is fine with him to continue that part of the road. And Bruce, I have my notes from that meeting. I would have to kind of look at it, but he didn't see an issue with it, a big issue with it.
No, he was more concerned about the technical aspects of it. We brought up the subject of alternatives to, full paving, such as oil gravel, surface, chip seal, millings, and he was clear that that was not going to fly for him, that it was going to have to be up to, town standards for a new road, and what he's trying to do about town in terms of upgrading some of the existing roads. But he said that as long as the pavement thickness was proper, that the sub bases were done, put down in layers and compacted in accordance with regulation and the standards that the state puts out for the sub base materials, that he felt that this was doable. Not exactly his words, but that.
So he wasn't concerned about the 18 feet width, Mr. Wittes?
At the time, we weren't certain what the width was going to be. We did let him know that we had, it was 25 feet wide at its narrowest point, and that there was, no way that we were going to be able to make a 22-foot wide road there. So he was generally positive, but I think he wanted to wait and see the actual plans. We had no plans to look at when we first met. It was more conceptual.
And but the road is to have a cul-de-sac in it, right, Bruce?
That's correct. The requirements of the town say that the cul-de-sac shall be teardrop in shape and suitable in size for the road that's coming into it. There are no dimensional requirements. It just says it has to be teardrop in shape and suitable so that a snowplow can plow and a school bus can turn around. There's right now, if any of you folks travel out or you look at the plans that we've provided, you have exactly that. You have a oblong teardrop, if you will, shaped cul-de-sac that Vincent Benoit accesses his driveway to. In fact, Vinnie Benoit extended Plum Road about 30 years or so ago in this very same manner, so that he could have a driveway access and frontage and build his home where he lives now. And he's now one of the current abutters to this roadway.
Cindy, are those plans something we have?
Yeah, we sent you the plans. Gloria, we sent those out, right?
Yes, we did.
You sent it in the 11 by 17 sheet to them, right?
Yes.
When was that, last month, Joe?
No, it was this month, on your packet this month.
I didn't get it.
Three pages, 4 pages, Cynthia?
Well, interesting enough, I don't have them in here in my folder.
Yeah, I can't seem to find them. Mr. Rice, did you have a question?
For Mr. Woodis.
Sure.
Oh, you're saying that it's a town road but not maintained. That information was gotten, where'd you get that information?
From the selectman's office.
The selectman's office. It's not on through the town clerk, what roads are, the roads in town. The reason I'm asking, because as you know, several years ago, we had quite a squabble. So I'd like to make sure that it's not an unacceptable road, because there's a lot of different criteria.
Absolutely. And it's, the selectmen have the purview, as you know, over what roads are legal town roads and what are not, and what are maintained town roads and what are not. And they've done research and they are clear that this is a legal town road that is currently not maintained.
All right. And what is, if I may, Mr. Chairman, what is the problem with narrowing the road? I didn't get the plans either, Gloria, for whatever reason, but I know you had a lot of difficulty with the agenda this month. No, not through your fault, but with that computer.
All right, the plans are not in here.
I didn't get them either.
I sent out what was on the table.
Well, okay, it's here or
What
there.
was that, Gloria?
I sent out what was on the table.
All right. we
You
don't have-
folded the 11 by 17 plans. I had the 11 by 17 plans.
Right, that's what I folded, and I put it in the packets.
Well,
So, yeah, so that's,
can I
yeah.
make a suggestion,
All right,
folks?
can I finish
Mr.
my
Rice.
question? We'll
Sure.
debate whether they'll have to get another site plan. Maybe Gloria could send them back out if that's the case, because I didn't get them.
Did you get them on your email?
I don't know.
On your package email?
Waiting for the packet.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah, we got that in the packet, but what does that do?
Okay,
But,
yeah, well, this is what is in the packet.
Oh, well,
I
I'm
got
just
that.
verifying
That's the
this and
site,
some
that's-
pictures.
Yeah.
No, that's just the plot plan.
yeah, that tells you a lot.
That's all I got.
I got that stuff, but I didn't make it help.
that's all I got.
Yeah,
Let me get
that's what's
back-
in the packet, guys.
Go ahead and continue with your question, John.
Yeah, what's the situation? Why can't you make the road consistent per our regulations? Why are you shrinking it down? What's on either side of that?
The right-of-way width is only 25 to 30 feet wide, bounded by stone walls, as you would typically find. This appears to be predominantly a two-rod road, which would be 33 feet wide. And because of the minimum grade requirements, the road goes up a little bit, then it dips down, then it goes up again. Because of those grade requirements, you have a certain amount of grading, either fill or cutting to do on the sides of the road. And when you take into account the maximum slopes that are allowed off the edge of pavement, you're utilizing every inch of that road right-of-way for your roadway. Your roadway and its, the side slopes, the culvert. If you could see the plans, you would see that every inch of that roadway is being utilized at an 18 foot wide pavement.
So am I understanding that whoever owned that land before gave a right of way to the town of Thompson? Because you mentioned a right of way. That was a right of way on somebody's property.
No, the right of way is synonymous with the town roadway limits. People think of a right of way in terms of an easement,
Right.
but typically when you dedicate a new town road, it's a 50-foot width, and it's called a 50-foot right of way. So the limits of the existing town road, if the terminology right of way is confusing to people, the limits of the roadway that's owned by the town is very narrow. Its narrowest is at 25 feet. For the most part, it's 30 to 35 feet. And all it takes is a little bit of a change in grade and the side slope from the edge of pavement at a maximum slope that's allowed by the town creates a situation where the grading literally goes right up to the limits of the town highway. I won't call it a right of way anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
George.
And I sincerely am disappointed that you folks can't see the plan. I'd hold it up for you if you wanted, but what I can do is I can send PDFs to Cindy, and she can email them to you all, between now and the next meeting, and you can review them during the course of this next month, so we can chat about it again.
Bruce, do you have a copy on the laptop that you've got? Because, and actually Amy St. Onge just put in the chat that she has a copy of the plans that she can share. Amy, I've already allowed for participant screen sharing, so you can go ahead.
We'll give her a moment to pull them up, I'm sure. And thank you.
This is a very unusual circumstance, this doesn't come up very often, where the town has a road that's a legal town road that hasn't been abandoned or discontinued.
I think this is it. Is this what you're looking for, Bruce?
Yeah, yes, this is fine. So folks, if you're looking at it, you can see the end of the current maintained Plum Road is over on the left side of the screen where it says Plum Road. And, you can see the oblong or teardrop shape, if you will, of the turnaround or cul-de-sac. And you can see a paved driveway going off that serves Vincent Benoit's house. And then the roadway then continues between stone walls, and it goes up and then it goes down, and then it goes back up again. And the opposite where you see Hallett T. Merrick and Candace Merrick over on the right-hand side, right about where their names are where they want. Okay. Right about where their names are is where they want to build their home. And so at least the 2012 regulations, which were cited in the April letter that they received, said that they had to extend the road far enough so they had at least 150 feet of frontage on this road to be built to town standards and accepted by the town. So that's what he's proposing to do. John and others, if you can see the grading lines that come off the edge of pavement, you can see that the grading lines go right up to the edge of the right of way, or no, I'm sorry, edge of the highway line.
Okay, with, Bruce, with these, I'm looking at that Kenneth, was it Stenson?
Stetson, yeah.
Yeah. Is that what the problem is? Is that whiteout area where the road is narrow?
No, it's actually further back towards, if you can move the plan to the right, there you go. You can see you got quite a pinch point right there initially, just as you come off of the maintained portion of Plum Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the cul-de-sac then.
Yeah. And then it widens out, but unfortunately, because you have to go up from the cul-de-sac and then go down, there's a fair amount of fill that has to be placed at its widest portion where the culvert is. And so unfortunately, the fill requirement goes right up to the edges of the right-of-way. And the same is true as you continue up the road. You're now transitioning from a fill to a cut as you go out, and and it kind of peaks just before you get to the cul-de-sac. So they're cutting there. And again, you can see the cuts and the fills pretty much fill up the entire highway limits.
Does Mr. Stenson have a home on that property?
His property is vacant.
Oh,
It's a very large piece of property. I think it's about 100 acres,
wow.
and it's vacant.
Tight road.
It'd be nice if they donated some land to the town, Mr. Merrick and Mr. Stenson, to have that straight and get a real road in there. But whatever, it is what it is.
Not much travel to it.
That's what happens when you use the old cow paths.
That's what it is.
So
What
Bruce,
is,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, what is the length of this road at this current moment?
Mr. Wittes, do you have that?
You're
information?
talking about the length of the proposed improvement?
No, I'm talking about the length of the road.
You're talking about Plum Road as it goes back out to Route 12?
Yes.
I would say it's about 0.3 miles, because that's what is, according to the town Public Works Department, that's the amount of road that they maintain, 0.3.
How far, Dave, through Joseph?
Yeah.
How far does Plum Road continue up past there that's unimproved?
And that would get improved?
Yeah, how far past the teardrop is Plum Road unimproved? Does it continue that the town owns?
About 700 or 800 feet or so. Not too much further than what you can see.
I can have that answer for
I
you.
believe, I believe that goes all the way to Mr. Duquette's house, Paul Duquette's house. the back of his house?
No, well, Duquette property gets access from the north, from Route 200, and he does not extend all the way down to Plum Road. Plum Road ends where it intersects the former railroad and now the airline trail.
Okay.
So would these improvements, would they coincide if that were to, Plum Road were to have future development? So it could be, Plum Road could be continued off of the plan that you have here?
To be honest with you, Hal Merrick has expressed to me that he's having to expend a lot of money just to get a building permit to build his house. It would be his desire to have the remaining portion of unimproved Plum Road legally discontinued, so that he and his wife, who own the property across the street, from Plum Road, could then own it. So that he could maintain, some privacy out at the end of his very nice driveway.
It's just, yeah, it's hard to tell what other properties are affected further on this, this road.
There are no other property owners.
I see.
They own on both sides all the way to the
Who
airline.
owns the land beyond that?
As I said, Plum Road ends where it hits the former railroad, and which is now the airline trail. There are no other property owners other than the Merricks.
Oh, so they abut the airline trail.
They do.
Okay.
So it's gonna become so in other words, they want to try to create a dead end road.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's something we need to review a little bit further, Mr. Chairman. If they get more information to us, I mean, I can see what this gentleman was just saying. It would be acceptable to me, but I think a little more information in the long run would be better. Because we can debate this thing here all night right now.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Mr. Lanky. Any other thoughts or considerations to what Mr. Lanky said from other members of the commission? Or if Mr. Lanky, if you would like to make a motion.
I will make that motion, Mr. Chairman, that we let this gentleman and the proper people of the property owners come forth with a much better plan where it'll be easier for us to look at and make some better decision. I get what they're trying to do. I think it's a good thing. And let the Board of Selectmen come in on this, and we can all work together to help them out with this whole road situation. I think there's a good possibility it can be done.
So you suggesting we continue this to next month with the ability to review the plans that Mr. Woodis has submitted?
Yes.
And I think that's what they were looking for.
Yeah,
that
we didn't expect a decision tonight. There's a lot to consider here.
Excellent. So yeah, so we'll get those plans in our packet. Thank you, First Selectman St. Ange, for jumping in and sharing that screen with us.
Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. That was a great job.
And yeah, so we'll put it on the agenda for next month. Mr. Woodis, thank you very much for your time.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Lanky.
Hold on, John's got something else.
Yeah, I got Mr. Lanky and then Mr. Rice.
Can we, when you submit I'm sorry, Joe.
John Lanky, did you have something to say?
Yes, I would just like to say too, this is also, I come to realize that Plum Road is also an access do the airline trail. So that's something that we need, that also needs to be considered for, traffic, that people want to try to get to the, to the airline trail and, for the future. So that's something that maybe that has to go to the town, the Board of Selectmen, because it's a town road. And we need to see what their input would be.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Linke. Mr. Rice?
I would just want to suggest on the plans, if the type style could be a little bit bigger for this old guy to look at. Use a magnifying glass to read these things.
Well, I
And by the way,
apologize.
I did get that plan. Now that you look at it, I didn't get it in the packet, but I did get it on the email that Gloria
I
sent.
think it was sent separate. I think that that's how it was done. So I'll have to look into it. I'm sorry, guys.
So the actual
gals.
plan has nice big print. Even my old eyes can see it. I have it right in front of me. What I can do is I can drop off several sets of the plans to the town hall, to Cindy's office, and whatever commissioners might want to come by and pick up paper copies, full-size paper copies. More than happy to provide them.
That's a good idea. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rice.
Bruce, this is Tara Penn. When you do that, would you make a point of stopping across the hall in my office again? That access to the trail, you and I have talked about it, and it's going to continue to come up. So maybe we can put our heads together on that.
Yeah, maybe we can come up with a compromise that would, once again, help the Merricks maintain some sense of privacy at the end of this dead end road, but also help, the town in a way to access the trail. I think if it comes down to not being, some sort of a formal trailhead, I think we can work it out.
Yeah, I was thinking something along the lines of posting, no vehicle parking signs, making it clear that it's a dead end road, that it's just for residents for parking. But then, the access that's important from the trail use perspective is that cyclists and hikers can have a way to get to the downtown that's a little easier. So that would be sort of
On and off access.
Yeah, I think pedestrians and bicycles, people want to get off the trail and go down Plum Road to, go somewhere else. That's, I think that's okay. We just don't want to see a parking lot, at the end of the cul-de-sac, and all of a sudden you have 25 cars parked in Hal Merrick's front yard. I think that's.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants that.
Mr. Poplawski, did you have a comment?
I'll let Mr. Rice go. His hand was up before mine.
I just want to suggest to Bruce that when you have that conversation, to include Cindy with that meeting
Oh, yes, yep.
regarding, okay.
They're
thank you.
usually there at the same time.
All right, thank you.
That's right. Mr.
What is
Poplawski.
Is there an 8-acre parcel at the end that borders the airline trail? Like right at the end of Plum, it looks like it borders between the airline trail and Plum Road. Possibly be landlocked.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. There's another 0 Plum Road and it's way at the end, right by the airline trail.
Okay, I think that's part of the Brodeur parcel that has just recently been purchased by the Merricks.
This is owned by Mann, Brett and Dorothy Mann.
Right, that's, so Mann is who the Merricks purchased from
Oh, okay.
on the
All right, I
south
just saw
side.
that there was the subdivided piece at the end, so.
No, that is the piece that they bought. It's
Oh, okay.
actually 10 acres.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
you.
that's where they want to build their house, on that 10-acre piece.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Thank you, Mr. Woodis and commissioners. And we will look at this next month as well.
Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Lenke.
you had my motion, but it wasn't seconded yet.
I will
You're-
second it.
You are correct. We have a motion made by Mr. Lenke to continue this next month, and it was seconded by, I'm sorry, Mr.
Mike Krugel.
Mr. Krogel. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, if there's no objection to the motion, we will continue this to next month. Hearing no objection, we will continue next month. Thank you.
Thank you again, everyone, for your time and your careful consideration. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a nice holiday, everybody.
You as well. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Item 12C, River Mill Conceptual Redevelopment Plan. Mr. John Gumpert is here, and we did receive some of his plans as well. Good evening, Mr. Gumpert.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, excuse me, just Joe, this is Randy. I'm back on again now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blackmer. It is.
Bye, Alvin.
Alvin can stay on. I just want to hear this presentation.
Great, thank you.
And just to chime in, though I don't expect I'll be doing much talking, John will be doing most of the talking. This is Pam Elko. I'm John's attorney.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elko.
Thank you all.
So the floor is yours, Mr. Gumpert. We're eager to hear your presentation.
Okay, well, thank you all very much for allowing me to speak tonight. I've prepared for an overall redevelopment plan for the River Mill that has a number of up to 312 residential units in 2 phases, a certain amount of commercial area, and then residential general areas as well. We are before you tonight just to share this plan with you and get any comments that anyone has. We're not asking, certainly not asking for any approvals. We're asking that everyone look at it and let us know that it generally conforms with your zoning, which we believe that it does. But so there are 2 purposes tonight. One is for that, is to learn that it does generally conform to your zoning. And then the other is just to share it with you and get any feedback or comment that you may have.
John, just let me know when you want me to scroll down.
You can scroll down, that's fine. This is the basement level. It's mainly residential units. You can scroll to the next. This is the first floor. Let's see. Of interest, we're planning on putting a pool in the center of the building, which would be a residential amenity. We've also got some restaurant space detailed, as well as a public meeting venue detailed as well.
Right. I think, Amy, I think you can see the pool on the plan that says second level.
Yes.
I don't know which order. My pages are out of order. Yours might be too. There we go. I guess that also shows up here on the ground level.
Yeah.
Yep. This also, John, you had mentioned 2 phases. I think you can see in this plan the 2 phases shown by that dotted line. Do you want to give some sense of your thought about how you would build it out?
Yeah, the 300 units is too many units to build in one phase. So we would break it up, and this seems like a logical way to break it up. It incorporates the pool and amenity area into phase 1, mainly residential units in phase 1, and then some of the commercial components, which might be a restaurant, might be a brew pub. You know, a number of different things we have not settled on for this presentation. But that's the way we typically develop these really large mills into generally 2 phases. And once the first phase is done, it supports the second phase.
And on the plan that Tira has up on the screen right now, you can see there's kind of a dotted line. And again, apologies for the teeny tiny print on what's probably small screens for everybody. I'd lean close to look, but then you'd see me too close in the video. You can see the dotted line that shows the 4-story, that's the 4-story building is going to be the first phase, John, right? And then the lower story building, which is to the, I think that's to the north, would be the second phase.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And part of that's because we have some tenants in that, and part of it is because it just makes sense to develop it this way.
Right.
But this building lays out beautifully as number one, it's a beautiful building, but number 2, it lays out very well for residential development. And it's similar to some of the other residential developments we've done in the past and are doing currently.
Right. And as John said, we're pretty comfortable, but again, we'd love your feedback and happy to answer questions. Given the zone we're in, which is the Downtown Mill Rehabilitation District, when you all amended the regulations, I guess it was earlier this year, right? Or end of last year?
September 15th. Yeah, September 15th is when they were adopted.
Man, this year is just a blur. Thank you, Sarah. So this is obviously what you all were anticipating. The residential would, because this is an existing building, would be as of right. We would need to come in for site plan approval once we have the details on not just the building, but on what we're actually doing, you know, for parking and the rest of it. And so site plan approval and zoning permit. John mentioned commercial. I think those are shown more for illustrative purposes right now. He doesn't have any particular users in mind. It looks like most of the commercial that we would expect, like restaurant, would also be permitted with just the site plan approval and zoning permit. If we ended up having a user who came to us or that John found that would be like the brewery that he mentioned, where somebody would need a special permit, we would anticipate that user would come back at some point in the future. Those are sort of down the road, but we wanted you all to have a sense of where those spaces would be. I know a couple of my questions would be things like, if we have a gym for the residences, is that just an amenity for the residents? Is that something else that we would need? You know, I'm assuming that's all part of the what's considered the multifamily, if we would need anything else. And then the event space, which I think is not on this plan, but it's on one of the.
Well, let me say this, on the event space and even the gym, what we've done on other projects is we would create a health club that would be utilized by the residents, but also utilized by the community. And the event space is typically something located in the boiler room or some cool space that doesn't really make sense to convert into residential, but does make sense to convert into just that event space. And we've had great success with that.
Is that possibly this space here, John, where it says future amenity?
No, I can't really define it for you right now. In fact, I think on the 4th floor, we show some event space.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Yep.
But we want to prove that out as well. I don't know that we've proved out that that is the ideal place for it, but there's a restaurant space and there's a number of things in that area that seem to make sense to us.
Yeah. Sir, this picture here I'm looking at, well, I got it here too. That would be the level of Riverside Drive, even with Riverside Drive, that would be about the third or fourth floor?
Yeah, that's about the fourth floor.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
It's almost, that's, yeah, right across from the church and stuff. I think it's a good plan.
Yeah, it's
we-
And I
exciting.
just had a quick
My,
question.
my,
Go ahead, Mr. Poplawski.
I'm just wondering, is there any renewable energy, solar or anything planned for this, for the site?
There may be, as you know, there was a hydro plant located in the mill itself.
Yeah,
And we may play around with trying to reignite that. Don't know, but that's something we're considering. Might be, depending on what the applications for solar are, we might have an opportunity for solar. Our experiences on mills similar to this, there's the mass of the building is very efficient in itself. So once you heat the building up or once you cool the building, you don't have to do much more than temper the air in order to keep the units at the right temperature. So
Okay,
the
thank
building
you.
is very efficient as is.
I know that, some adjacent states do look at these old mills and do look at, solar and some of those initiatives for credits, as it relates to the construction of the building and future deployment.
Yeah, we have not looked at that specifically, but we certainly will if there are any programs out there. For example, sometimes the local utility companies offer big incentives for solar. And if they do, and it makes sense, we're happy to look at that. And I've got an interest in the hydro plant. If there's any way to put that back in use, it would be a nice add to the project.
Don has said that since the very beginning we started working on this project, actually. Because I don't know, you can't see it in the plan, but as the head race comes down from the dam, from the lake, there's actually a drop inside the building where they had the original, as part of the original mill. It's not really shown on here. Oh, wait, stay right there.
No, head
You
race.
can actually, yeah, exactly. This is the place to see it. So the head race comes down, and then just here under the building, it actually turns and goes south, and there's a drop. And then the tail race is at a lower elevation that comes out, comes to the bottom of the figure, and then makes kind of a sharp turn to the left before it meets up again with the river. So there might be some possibility in there. There's not a lot of flow right now. We'd have to.
No, the gates are closed, and it's currently somewhat of a source of contamination that we're having to deal with, but we'll get through that and then away we go.
Right. The
Do you control the
contamination is
gates?
not. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just wondering if you controlled the gates too.
I'm not really sure. The gates themselves are, every bit of 100 years old. So whether they work or not, I couldn't tell you, but it would be an undertaking. But I've got a number of mills with these hydro plants attached to them. And I'll find someone that, can figure out how to either, you can modify and do inline inductors and things like that to improve the efficiency of them. So there is a way to do it. As I tell everybody, we'll meet a whole group of angry people if we start to do that. For angry for whatever reason they are. But I don't know. We're gonna look at it. Hopefully, we find something to do with it.
Right. Someone
Make
else
it right
owns
place
the
to the tap
dam.
room.
Yeah. Right next to the tap room. Exactly.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Mr. Poplawski. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Gumper and Ms. Elko?
Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Well, one thing that would help us if you folks could just issue a letter or something that stated that, the project seems generally in accordance with our zoning. Obviously, we're going to have to get final plans and what have you to get it to where it is, approved. But just, we've reviewed your plan and it's generally in accordance with our zoning would be helpful. And that's helpful for our lenders. we try to put the project in as good a light as we can when we're going out to the capital markets.
So we were thinking, and again, I defer to you all as to what the best way to do this is. But if it's a letter from, from Cindy, from the CEO, that just states, here is what is allowed as again, with only the need for site plan approval and a zoning permit, sort of as of right, as opposed to needing to get variances or special permits. I think that goes a long way to explaining that, it's not going to be a heavy lift to get this approved. You'll all be approving the details, but not the concept. And I think that's what John needs.
Yeah, that's right.
For his meetings with, with HUD and with lenders, just to give them comfort that this is moving forward. I don't know if that's something that's possible or if we could.
What is your time span on that, Pamela?
John's got meetings teed up with HUD, which sort of are the concept meetings. And John, you should jump in if I mischaracterize this, where they go through the plan and his description of what he wants to do and how he's going to finance it.
We're moving the preliminary financing as quickly as we can, which in this environment's not very quick. But
right.
Just
all relative.
Just, I'd like this, whenever convenient from you folks. Because I don't think it's not very binding. It's just simply saying what you're proposing appears to fit within our zoning. Bring us plans that really define it. We'll go from there.
And John, your meeting is you've requested it and you expect it to happen before the end of the year, right?
I've got multiple uses for it. It's not just for HUD.
That's true.
It's for other participants as well. So
okay,
just to keep it moving, I would say, as reasonably soon as possible.
Okay.
But Cindy, if you want, we can work on that together as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, and again, if there are questions that you all have when you're putting that together, we are happy to answer whatever questions you might have. I think we're all trying to keep it going, and we very much appreciate you all taking the time to look at this. And again, happy to.
And it's not only for approval, but we're going to share what our plans are with you on a continuous basis so that you're informed as to what we're planning on doing, and you can give us any feedback that you've got.
Thank you. Yeah, and to my mind, I think as you both alluded to, Mr. Gumpert and Ms. Elko, that the language of the Downtown Mill Rehabilitation District, right? Really, Cindy and Tira, I'm happy to help in any way I can. But a lot of the letter I feel like is already written, right? Because we've got specific language that promotes the maintenance of our historic buildings and all that. So
we very
much
I mean
we can countersign it, the three of us, on the development side. I think that would be fine. Cindy and myself and Joe as chair. The only question I would have for you, Joe, is if you think it's appropriate, since it comes before the commission for approval, if you think it's appropriate to indicate any kind of pre-approval, but I would have no issue with it. That's your own comfort level. But I certainly think at least the two of us in the office can countersign it. And then if you're comfortable with it, I think that would be great.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Lenke.
What Ms. Tira just said, I think is it's a good thing. I don't think it really has to come back to us that much, as long as you got the P&D, the CEO, and yourself on it. I think that should suffice enough to get this whole project going a little. I think that's why we did the regulations over, so this project would fit in nicely. So we didn't have to go back and forth 100 times. We really want this project. I really would like to see this project really step up ASAP. So I just think the three of you should just handle it with the consensus of the rest of the commissioners. That's my thought.
Well, of course, as Tira said, there will be applications that come before this commission, right? There's a site plan and things like that.
I'm not taking that part away. Yes, it has to come to us, but to help them to get more things moving with HUD and whatever they need to do, I don't think they should have to come back to us every time. I think it should just go, let you and Tara and Cynthia, if it does have to come to us, then you can send us a special email and everything. And if we can't email you back with a yes or a no, we got a problem.
Gotcha, understood.
Joe,
Mr. Rice.
just again, I don't know how we can say, you're in favor. I am, as you may or not know, but I have difficulty reading what all these blocks are. If I'm looking at occupancy, 1 bed, 2 bed, and I see squares, but I don't know where what it's relating to on it, because the printing is really small. I don't know, as is the previous discussion that we had tonight. We can't read, or at least I can't read these things.
Yeah, no, and John, I wasn't. I apologize if I characterized my. What I was just saying is that conceptually, if we look at the intent of this district on page 49 and the design guidelines of this district on page 53, that there are objective measures that we have described in our new regulations, that conceptually this project seems to be fitting into.
Correct.
I'm not saying we've approved a site plan today or tomorrow.
Well, I'm just saying, Joe, I think if we can, this is not going to happen tomorrow anyway, but if we can get piecemeal information that we can read, I can't read this stuff. There's no.
I think that's what Mr. Gumper was saying.
As to what this stuff is, I was looking at some kind of legend or something that's explaining this stuff.
Yeah, frankly, this is just a unit stacking plan.
Yeah.
That's what those boxes are for. It's as much for me to understand the project as anything. But we will certainly give you plans you can read.
Yeah, okay, appreciate it.
Right. And I think when we come back for site plan approval, or even before then, I think, again, John's very interested in making sure that we've got open communication with you all, but we can do color coding or other things to make it much easier to understand, where the 1 bedrooms, where are each of the kinds of units, so you can see how it flows and all of that.
It just, I would appreciate that if we, piecemeal the information, at least to me, so we don't come January 15th and you want an answer at our next meeting. I mean,
that's no problem.
hypothetical, but it ain't gonna happen that way. But the more information you could feed us a little bit at a time, and then we can get this done.
Right, and that's our intent. Our intent is to feed you information as we get it and just keep you apprised as to what we're doing. So if you have any concerns or suggestions,
Right.
You get those back to us. We'll also have public meetings to inform the town what we're doing and the community. So that's, that's the way we normally operate. So.
As you have in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Any other thoughts or comments or questions for Mr. Gumpert or Attorney Elko? Great. Well, thank you both very much for your time this evening. We appreciate the update and your plans to keep the open communication with us. Thank you both very much.
Thanks so very much.
Thank you.
Item 13, Commissioners' comments. Hearing none. Item 14, our next meeting of the Planning Zoning Commission regular meeting will be December 28th, 2020. That is the 5th Monday in December. So Just be aware of that. No, it's not. It's the 4th.
Fourth, yeah.
Never mind. Ignore me. Tira threw me off. She said we moved it back.
Yeah, it was all my fault. I've had it on the 21st in my book for all year. I don't know what that was about. You can tell me to have another drink in the corner. That's
And then item 15, I will entertain a motion
I'll make it.
made by Mr. Lanky,
Second, happy
seconded by Mr.
Thanksgiving.
Santos. The meeting is adjourned at 8:40 p.m. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We'll see you next, and December as well. We'll see you next.
Don't eat too much turkey.
Bye, gang.
Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.